Alright, now that I found just the right kind of bone, just the right leg bone, I'm going to show you how to make a foot knife out of this right here, and a couple of other tools. And I just found this one laying on the ground. It still has the marrow inside of it, so I might be able to eat that also if it's still good. It's an excellent find right here. Alright, let's make some tools out of bone. What I've put together to make my bone tools out of is I got a piece of sandstone right here. It's real gritty like sandpaper. And I got this stone here to use as a hammer rock to knap the bone with. And then of course I got this here to help polish it with. It's another kind of stone. It's smooth. I mean, it'll polish it pretty good. First thing I do is I look at the bone real good and try to determine what I want to make out of it. And sometimes when they lay out in the weather, they get little cracks in them. Like this one's already cracked right there. It's got a crack there. So I can use that to my advantage. And you just start out with light taps. See, you break off the pieces. Yeah, just like that. Now, you see it's full of dirt. There's no marrow inside there. It's all gone. Clean it out real good. And then, see, now when I make this knife, I'm going to have a nice handle to use. And I'm going to use this part right here as my edge. So that means I got to remove all this material and bevel it at an angle so that it comes out sharp here on this edge. Now that's what this sandstone is all about. And see, I'm continuing to grind a nice bevel onto it right there. And when it comes out sharp along this edge, I'll be ready to finish my knife. I'm almost done with it. So it's a pretty quick process. It's not really all that difficult. And it gives you one of the sharpest knives that you can possibly get. So you just continue grinding it. Until you get it to the way you want it. In a lot of ways, it's just like sharpening a knife. Knock some of that sand out of it. That'll help me grind. So making bone knives and tools is just like flint knapping, only you sharpen everything when you're done. And sometimes you don't have to do that, like with this arrowhead right here. A piece of a bone that I just broke out. You see the inside of it. That's just absolutely razor sharp. And you can't ask for a better point than that. So I don't have to do anything to it. And when bones break, they break at angles that leave razor sharp edges on them. So if you don't want to invest a whole entire piece of bone like I did into a knife, you can just break them up into small pieces and get the smaller blades off of them. And that enables you to make all these other tools. Like this bone right here has a little tiny hole in it right there. It's just a natural hole that goes from the inside of the bone to the outside of the bone. And you can break that out and grind it on both sides so that you have a natural a needle with a natural hole in it, so you don't have to drill holes. And that's a really convenient thing to do. But you got to have a bone with a hole in it like that. Yeah, they make perfect needles. So if you break your bones up into smaller pieces instead of using a whole bone, like I just demonstrated that knife I made, you can get a whole lot more tools like this. And you don't really have to sharpen any of them because they break off in razor sharp pieces. And some of the pieces of bone break off small enough that you can use them for fish hooks. Like this piece right here. It's got a perfect bend in it. That's everything I need right there for a fish hook. A bone is one of the most useful tools that you can get out in the wilderness if you use it wisely. Make a handle for this axe head, and I could use it like a hand axe, but a handle would be so much better. And to do that, I need a piece of wicker line so that I can wrap it, thin it out and wrap it. That'll make a really good tool for chopping wood with. And also, I found this bone laying right there. Look at that. Found it laying right over there. So this I can make knife blades. I can make fish hooks. I can make a lot of stuff out of this. So this was a really, really good find here. This bone. Now that I've got this, I'm going to show you how to make stuff with bones. And it's supposed to get windy tomorrow, so if I'm going to stay here, I'm going to have to maybe close this up a little bit. We're a little more sheltered from the wind. It's kind of drippy up under here, but if the temperature drops, the water will freeze and it won't drip anymore, and that won't be much of a concern. Food's not really a problem. I got creasy greens and all that kind of stuff grows all over around here. Pussy willow buds. There's a lot of Norway maples that grow around here, and the buds off of the Norway maple are really good. And also there's some black walnut trees that grow around here, so there's black walnuts on the ground to get. So food right here at this location is fairly abundant. So even in the wintertime, it's like a smorgasbord out here. There's plenty to eat, so I'm not really worried about food. But what I do need to do is get some weapons together to go hunting. I'd like to maybe go hunt a duck or something like that. And, so that's what this bone's going to be all about. I'm going to do something like this. And then I got them pieces of wood that I took off of the tree. And those make excellent weapons for fishing, hunting, and stuff like that, because they're just razor sharp and they're strong. So those are really good. And so that's what I'm gonna do. All right. Well, I got my my wood here, and what I did is I thinned it right down to just a thin strip. See? Big branch there, almost paper thin, and then back to a thick stick on that end. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my axe head, starting on the bottom side in the center. I'm going to wrap it just like that. Come around that side, wrap this around. Tight as you absolutely possibly can, so that it looks something like that. See, just like that. And then I'm going to take this piece of cordage right here, and instead of tearing it apart, I may need this later. So instead of tearing this apart, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lash my handle together with it temporarily. That way I can take it apart and use it later when I need to. So just simple lashing. Simple overhand knot right there. Let's make a simple overhand knot in it like that to start it. It's all lined up. And you gotta wrap it really tightly. You gotta wrap it really tight so it don't come undone. I thought maybe I was gonna fix the rope to this with the pine set, but if I do that, I won't be able to use my rope anymore, so I'll lose it. And I'm probably gonna need this for something else, so I decided to just lash it and just tying it on here like this. The rope will eventually work loose, and I'll have to keep tightening it up as I use it or whatever. But the good thing is, when I need a piece of rope, I'll be able to just untie this and use it. Broke the end off right there. That'll be alright. Yeah, this may look a little crappy, but here, I got a shoestring that I'm also going to use. Tie an overhand knot, slip it over the end, just like this here. A couple of half hitches, or a half hitch, whichever. Yeah, I can tie it here like this. There. And there is a stone axe, ready to use. Alright. Now, I got some other things here I want to show you. I've got this little stone knife here. See, it's made out of obsidian, volcanic glass. And you can see that there is just absolutely razor sharp. And it's a nice little oval shaped knife. See? Yep. So I'm going to be using this quite a bit. I've got a regular belt knife with me, okay, that I use all the time. Belt knife. And the thing about a good belt knife is you want it to have a nice thick blade right there, because a lot of times what I do is I use it like an axe. You take a rock and put it on your wood and you drive it through the wood. So, and to be able to do that, you need a nice thick blade. So that's all that really matters with that. But I'm going to try to refrain from using this during this exercise. I want to use only the old stuff, the handmade things that someone would be able to get out here. And there's another kind of knife made out of bone, and it looks like a foot. This kind of knife, this technology, was taught to me by a member of the Ute Indian tribe. And let me tell you what, there's nothing like the hone of a Uted toe. This doesn't look like much, but this knife, this bone knife right here, is sharper than that steel knife I was just showing you. Even though it has a razor edge, this is much sharper. Yeah, this is a really good knife. And you can see it's just a little wedge, right? And tapered right down to a nice short point. And then you can see right here, that's broken off, and I just left a little toe right there on the side. A little big toe sticking out there. And believe me, boy, that sucker will cut. And also, I've got this here that I made. See, it's a little bone knife and a gouge. You can use it for a gouge. I use it for scooping out the material inside of the red belt bracket fungus for making oil lamps and oil stoves and stuff like that. And the underside of the fungus actually makes a really good wick. So I use this tool here to cut that out, and also, it's a extremely sharp knife, a really good knife. And then I've got this rope comb right here. See this little comb right here? See? Little scrimshaw in here, a little canoe with some reeds or whatever that I carved on it. Very simple tool, and I use it for raking out rope fibers. plant fibers for making rope. And these are just some things that you can make with the bones, like the bone that I found earlier. And these things I already had made, and I'm gonna take that bone and make some stuff out of it later. But this is just to show you, some of the things that you can make. All right, I'm gonna show you these couple weapons that I managed to scrounge up. This here, this is just a piece of oak that a tree had crashed into another oak tree and pulled it down, and this is a splinter that I took off of it. And the thing about this, I use these for fishing spears. The thing about water is when light enters the water, it deflects and changes angle. And if you're trying to spear fish, if you aim directly at the fish, you'll miss it every time because the fish isn't where it looks like it's at because of the angle of deflection of the light. Well, with this spear, with this kind of spear, you see how you got this change of angle right here? Well, when you're fishing with this kind of a spear, if you aim straight along the back side, when you're jabbing at the fish, the point right here matches that angle of deflection of the light, and it'll hit the fish every single time. So this is like a maintenance-free, hassle-free method of spear fishing. And these are really convenient to use. They're really easy. You just pick them right off the tree. They come off there razor sharp. And all you gotta do is fix that longer handle to it. And these are really, really good weapons to use. And everything out in nature, when you're trying to survive, everything you do is an effort. I mean, there's an effort to everything. And any chance that you can get to have something where you don't have to put any work into it, you made a really wise decision to pick it up and use it because it just saves you the effort. And these are really neat too. Secondly, I found a javelin out there this morning too, and look at this. See how sharp that is? Look, it's as long as a spear. It's almost as tall as I am. See that? It's about 4.5 feet tall, and it's kind of slender and skinny, and it bends. But if you're hunting rabbits, or raccoons, or squirrels, or anything like that, and you can find a javelin like this, see, that's just drawn right down to a nice point. And you just pick these right off the tree. This just come right off the tree, just like this. I didn't do anything to it. It's not carved, it's not sanded, not ground. I didn't do anything to it but peel it right off of the tree. So it's just a maintenance-free weapon that works really, really well. Alright, I'm going to make a spear to hunt with. And to do that, one of the things I'm going to need is this shell right here. I got to pop a hole in it. And what I'm going to use is this piece of flint right here and a hammer rock. What you do is you position the stone where you want your hole at. You just drive it through. See? What I'm trying to do is fit the hole in this shell so that it's slightly larger than the shaft of my bamboo. So I can use this as a collar to keep my bamboo from splitting out. I can use my stone like a chisel or a drill to chip away the pieces. See, just slowly work it larger. Try to keep it as round as you can. Okay, a little bit larger. Okay, as you can see, the shell fits it nice and loose. Now I'm ready to go into the next step. What I need to do now is split my bamboo in half, and what I'm going to use is this piece of flint stone here. See, it's nice and broad across the backside, and drawn right down to a knife point on this side. And this stone is an excellent configuration for splitting wood. It's a common shaped stone. You can find stones shaped like this almost anywhere. And this is the exact stone that the Native American Indians used to use to split wood with. So a lot of times when you find a stone shaped like this, it may have been a Native American Indian tool that you found. Now the foreshaft for my spear is a nice piece of hardwood, and I've attached a bone on the tip of it, just lashed it right to the side with cordage and pine sap. And what I have to do with it, I have to slide it all the way in until the end of it reaches the segment. That way it won't collapse when it strikes something hard. It goes all the way in here to the segment, and that'll hold it fast. Okay, I got my collar shell in place. I split my bamboo. I got my foreshaft in place. Now what I need to do is wedge this out, wedge the bamboo out so that it holds my my shaft tight. These little bamboo strips will do a good job of that. All you have to do is slide them in the end on all sides, so that it holds your foreshaft right dead in the center. And you want it to spread your bamboo shaft open so that your collar will slide forward on it and make it all nice and tight. See? Yeah. All nice and spread out. And slide your collar forward. Yeah, you gotta kind of spin it, make sure it goes just absolutely, completely tight. And you also want to make sure that your collar is close to the end. You don't want it to be way down here. You want it to be real close to the end. So you just gotta kind of work it up there in place. And when I'm done, that gives me a spear shaft that won't split without having to tie. Now I'm ready to start working on my spear point. And what I've done is in this bone, I've made a little tiny hole right here, and that's where my spearhead's going to go. What I've grown accustomed to using for spear points is the hearts out of the sand dollars. What you do is you break them up. You break them up, and on the inside are these fabulous little spear points, like this one here. It looks just like a fish. They come in a variety of different shapes and sizes, and these here are perfect. They're sharp, they're strong. They got a little tail on them right there for sticking them into the end of the bone. They got back hooks on them, little barbs, so when they go in they won't pull out. You can drill a little hole in it, like I did this one here. You drill a little hole in it, tie some cordage onto it, and you got a perfect spearhead. And all you got to do is right here in the end of the spear, where your hole is, you stick the tail in it. Draw your string taut all the way back to your handhold, and you got a perfect little spearhead. That's a 3-point spear. And that's the genuine method for making a Native American Indian 3-point spear. Well, first of all, the most important thing to making an arrow is the arrowhead. And the first thing that comes to mind with most people is a stone or a flint arrowhead. But I like to use bone. Bone is a more easily workable material, and I normally have better luck with bones. Take this bone here, for instance. When I broke it, it kind of broke off to a sharp point. It had a split in a suitable spot. So you see, when I broke it off, it's already kind of shaped like an arrowhead. And they're heavy enough. Bones are heavy enough if you get a big enough piece. So let's start with this. Okay, after 10 minutes of shaping, you see I've got a perfectly good arrowhead right here. And the secret to arrowheads is when you polish them, after you shape them, if you polish them to a mirror finish, they slide through hide and flesh like soap. So that's why bones are better than most of your stones. And it's better than wood, better than anything else, because a super polished bone, like I just said, will slide through hide and flesh like soap. And for arrow shafts, a lot of people like to use bamboo, but I prefer to use holly. You see this holly branch right here? Oh, actually it's the new growth come right off the trunk of the tree. It's got 2 limbs that come out of the top right there. And I'm going to use this for the nock of my arrow. And of course, this is a nice white wood. It'll split easily. I'm going to use this for my arrow shaft. Now, take a piece of flint, scrape the bark off. Okay, see? Nock of my arrow is already made. I don't have to do that. Nice white arrow shaft. I got my arrowhead. Now I need the fletchings. I'll just quickly split this feather in half, and I'll have my fletchings. And to do that, I'm going to use this razor sharp piece of flint. And the fletchings, see, I got a extra length on either end that doesn't have any feather on it, and that'll help me tie that tight to the shaft. And where I'm going to fit the arrow, see, I notched out the end. I removed all the wood from the center and just left a thin strip on the outer edges, and that'll tie in tight to the arrowhead, and it'll make the shaft straight. It won't be real fat at the arrowhead. It'll be nice and slender, just like it should be. Before you set the arrowhead, you put pine sap in that little notch, so it'll hold the head in place firmly. Alright, I've got my arrowhead securely lashed onto my arrow shaft, but before I fletch it, I want to take my arrow straightening tool, and I want to bend and press every one of the kinks out of it. See, you just gently pry on it in the direction you want to straighten it. And that takes all those little bends out of it, all the little curves, and it gives you a nice, perfectly straight arrow shaft. And I always make sure that the hole in my straightening tool is large enough to fit over my arrowheads, so that I can straighten my arrows as I need. Now you can knock a piece of bamboo, if you can find it when you need it, or you can split a stick and put a thorn in there and lash it really tightly. But I like to use a forked stick like this that has the proper angle and stature. And see, this is the finished arrow, all nicely lashed on there. spiral tied. Got my 2 fletchings on there. And that makes for a nice arrow. And for this project I used a bone arrowhead. Nice and sharp. But I could have just as easily used a stone. Of course I'd have to finish shaping this one. Or I could use a thorn. Like this one here, this basswood thorn. And this is the proper way to make a primitive arrow. My name is Jack Survival. Thank you for watching. I'm going to start by honing a little bit of an edge on this right here. First, before I can start making my father and son bow, I've got to soak these rope fibers in water to soften them up. And this is the dried bark from the linden tree, or the lime tree. So go ahead and so I got a bucket of water right here. Just go ahead and put that in the bucket. And I'll let that soak for about an hour or two. And when that softens up enough, I'll be able to twist that up into a rough cordage, and I'm going to use that to lash my father and son bow together. Alright, well anyway, the spearhead is ready. All I have to do is fit it to a shaft. And this arrowhead, yeah, I can use it for a knife too. Sharpen it to a razor sharp edge right there. I can fit this to an arrowhead or an arrow shaft. The things I'll need to build my spear with are a suitable spear shaft with a split in the end of it, my spearhead with the nice barbs on it, and a bone collar to lock it in place with. Okay, I'll put the spearhead in place, and I'll take that bone collar and slide it forward, and what I'll do is I'll slide it forward, see, and once I've slid it forward, it catches that spearhead and locks it absolutely tight in place. It can't move around, it won't come off of there. And that's the proper way to mount a spearhead onto a shaft. And not only does it lock this in place, but it gives my my spear enough weight towards the front end to travel straight in the air. See, just a simple iron spearhead with a bone collar, and those are really simple to make. And it's just simply the best that it can be. And I'm going to be using my 2-prod method for making my father and son bow. See, I got these two prods right here that I'm going to use. And I like to use the shrub wood or the hedge woods to make my bows out of. The wood is strong, springy. Yeah, that seems to be the most suitable. So that's what I'm going to use. And my bark is soaked enough in the water to start working with. So usually what I do is I'll just spin it up into a light cord just like that. Set these prods the way I want them. Pinch the cord in between them and start wrapping it. Just make sure you got a good twist on it. That's all you got to do. Yeah. See, just spit it up into a uniform twist. Wrap it. See, you have to. Spin it on your leg just like that. See? It's a simple process. There really isn't much to it. Lock it off with half hitches. See? And it'll look like that. See? And if the staves you're using are exceedingly bent, you can use your wood straightening techniques kind of help counteract that. Yeah, see, like that. If your bark fibers are too wide, too thick, you can strip them down just like that. And adjust the diameter of them, diameter of the cordage when it's twisted up. See? You just take it, roll it on your leg just like that. Roll it up into a nice tight cord. It's all nice, neat, and uniform. You just have to remember to pull your wrappings tight while you're twisting it up. See, yeah. Pull them nice and tight so it lashes together snugly. Make sure your cord is just twisted up the way it should be. And it's just a simple process. See? Then you have to insert your little dowels. See where your end wrapping is? Right there? That's where they go.
And then the last thing you do is you tie your prod to the helper, which is the father and the son. And when you tie them, you pull a little bit of tension on it, and you do that on both ends. See? Do that to both ends. And it lasts in the middle, right there, and right there. That's 5 points. You have to have 5 points of contact. And that's all there is to making the father and son bow. And for the bowstring, usually what I do is I'll get the root from a black walnut tree and I'll split it. And you split it right down the middle. And you gotta have one single piece that's long enough to make the whole entire bowstring. See? So whenever it goes thin, you grab onto the thick part, bend the thick part back. Split the whole entire root right down the center. See? You always pull on the thick part, not the thin part. That's all there is to that. That's a pretty easy thing to do. Then when you're done, see, you got 2 pieces. So that'll give you 2 bowstrings. If one of them should happen to snap, I'll have a spare. And yeah, these roots stay strong, they stay supple for a long time, and just because they dry out don't mean they're going to go bad. So I'll put one of these up and the other one I'll use for a bowstring for now. Well, actually I'll start with the thicker end. I'll start down here. This is the back side of my bow. See, and I'll wrap it like that. And I'll lock that off with a half hitch. The other end of my bow, what I'll do is I'll grab onto the prod and I'll bend it to set the arch in it. And then I'll wrap my root around there several times to make sure it's anchored on there sufficiently. I don't want it to ever come loose, not until I want to untie it. Then I can lock that off with a half hitch. Be careful not to break the root. Well, see, it slipped. A little bit of trial and error there. tighten it up again. Go around the back side of the root this time. Twice. And then I'll wrap it around my prod. And holding it still with my finger so it don't slip. I'll lock it off with a hatchet, half hitch. Just like that. See? See? Now that gives me a bowstring that isn't going to snap. Now you can use river cane to make your arrows out of, and you can knock the ends of them like this if you want to, but I do my arrows a different way. The way I've grown accustomed to knocking my arrows is I'll make use of a branch that's on a bush or whatever that I'm using, and I typically like to use holly for my arrow shafts, but there's other branches out there that work just as well. See? You simply knock the arrow like that. Yeah, it works pretty good. You gotta make sure the arrowhead's wrapped on there securely, and you can spin your cordage like that as you go. Pull it in nice and tight. Roll it on your leg. Just like that. See? You take a loop. Pass your cordage through it. Like that. See? Pull it on nice and tight. Pull it through like that, and it won't come undone. Trim those loose ends. See, when you finish, you should have something that looks very much like that. I don't have any feathers to fletch my arrow with, so I'll have to get the ducks so that I can have feathers to make better arrows with. So I gotta see, you gotta start somewhere, right? Yeah, that worked pretty good. Well, I'm glad I had an opportunity to show you some of the most intelligent weapons on Earth to hunt and survive with. And right now I got to go get some pine sap, and I'd really like to get those ducks tonight because, well, I need to eat, you know, some meat, and also the oil that I can get from them. I can use to run my oil lamp, and that's really a bit more efficient than
using pine sap lamps. So I really need some of that right now. I don't have pine sap or oil. So I'm gonna take these weapons of mine and I'm gonna go try to hunt some ducks or some other fur-bearing or feather-bearing animal that can provide me with some oil. And another good source of oil is trout heads, or the skin of trout. So if I can get one of those three things tonight, I'll be in good shape. Well, sorry I got to go, but I have to go do some hunting. So I'll see you next time.